Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, I've been busy, man. Been working a lot, but now I got some time, but I got other things I gotta do. But you'll see, man. It'll be cool stuff. But in terms of the art, some of the projects I've been doing, I'm gonna have to, I guess, take a little break, or maybe not. We'll see what happens. But in terms of, I'm just drawing a little more of this. Right, the second generation characters, Darkness Epoch. I had much of uh, post-apocalyptic, the more horror. Essentially, the Children of Wrath series. It goes back, man, 15 years ago. Basically, like everyone, you get influenced by everything that you like. Manga, anime, horror films, hammer films, gore films, everything, comics, and you're sort of like, okay, I'm gonna have my take on each genre, and each generation sort of represents that. It's funny too. When I made these, I was kind of libertarian. I keep mentioning in that regard. I still think I am, or am I like AA? Am I on the center left now? A sensible center left. So in some ways, I guess I am. I keep saying I think I'm really an old leftist. But what does that mean? That means nothing to you. It doesn't mean anything actually anymore. It's an outdated paradigm. So yeah, a little more drawing I've done. Obviously, I'm trying to do more of this. Be nice to finish this. Imagine I color this. You think I don't think I have time for Halloween, but the single art is a big part of things. And I figured I would. I had mentioned the vampire state. Uh, Most of the majority of characters are vampires. It seems that humans in the future are a minority. They've been turned into a minority somehow. uh, but I didn't really focus too much on these characters here. Defensemen. Okay, over one is a woman. Right? Uh, with all these vampire characters, defensemen, other than her, are they're humans. Takes place in the South. These guys basically they build fences, they build walls to keep out zombies, so people can sort of survive in the region where there's just endless zombies. Of course, there's supernatural zombies. Right? It's not a virus, or you could say it's a supernatural virus. Actually, it's old one. It's just more old one DNA. Right? But so are the vampires. They also have anyway. To get into that, but I didn't really talk about defensemen too much. So, and I was looking through art I had done years ago. Some of it embarrassing. Some of it, oh, it is what it is. And I found a lot of fenceman art. Some of the art I have, I can't find. So I have it somewhere digitally, but I have to. It's a whole story. Obviously, it wasn't very organized back then. I was just drawing. I was just trying to get creativity out. In a stretch of years, the decade after something pretty bad happened, I'd say, just doing what I did to actually meet the person that I cared for a lot, which was drawing, which was art. So she was an artist, and that's how we met. So after she was gone, I decided to to just go for it, and my art got better. Man, trust me, you don't want to see some of the old stuff, but you gotta start somewhere. Anyway, enough. So the Frenchman actually found some art of them. This is when I was like experimenting with different drawing styles. So these are the characters in the Frenchman. So this character, yeah, it's like funny. This shirt, I was trying to get, is a clumsy meme shirt, boomer meme shirt that you now see advertised. But it's essentially the characters. And his name is Jack. This is uh, Trevor, and then basically, Trevor's a Southern boy. Jack is from where he's from the vampire-dominated North. Right? So he comes down to the South, where there's more of a zombie problem, and people make their living, building fences. And who's that? That's Pappy. Who's that? That's not James. James didn't look like that yet when I was drawing. Uh, Otherwise, this is Laurel. Right? Laurel is she decides to join their business, right? Because they're businessmen. Right? She decides to join their small business as some vampire muscle. Right? Obviously, uh, vampires are a little more integrated in the South, believe it or not. You see the stupid, the very clumsy analogies and metaphors I was pushing it. Um, Nathan, what his powered air gun is named Nathan. Why? Well, of course, the whole issue I had too with the fencemen in the future is you don't have a lot of firearms manufacturing, so you have a lot of like alternative weapons, and particularly also with the zombies. You don't want to make a lot of noises because you get in mass. Like remember Z Nation? They had the zombie tsunami. Remember? Where zombies would just come through like a stampede and you had to hide. There was no way to fight them. So I always, when I was doing this too, that show was on the air at the time. So I mean, Laurel, of course, she is from another part of the Northwest, so she has a history with characters. All these series will meet at some point. These characters will meet. And this is unfortunately this Jack has a lot of bite marks on him, but he's not. He one of his secrets is that he can't be turned. So they've tried to turn him when he was a slave in the North, right? And he couldn't do it, but they turned his sister. So this is a whole subplot I might do where his sister becomes a vampire and she becomes a real bitch and an enemy to him later. But Laurel kind of likes Jack, and Jack, he hates. He is very racist against vampires. He hates vampires. He cannot stand that she is part of their little business. But my man, she has also, you'll see the vampire armors that they have. It's good muscle to deal when every day you're dealing with thousands of zombies and you're trying to get a job done. So the defenseman. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I actually have an action sequence. I did like a sample page. Right. I think my art was a little better here. So this is Laurel, of course. She can get into trouble often. Even you have enough zombies, even a vampire warrior woman will have problems. Uh, yeah, don't touch me, peasants, right? The zombies are peasants, undead, compared to the noble vampires. And of course, she likes Jack. She's like, thank you, Jack. Of course, Jack is probably, of course, Jack Burton. I got that from Big Trouble in Little China. But he fucking hates vampires. He hates them. And this is it. We gotta go, right? But my armor is stuck in the swamp, right? Her armor got stuck in the swamp. I don't have a drawing of the armor, but you'll see what it is. It's essentially like they're like battle suits that the vampires have, and their strength allows them to use them leverage wise. They don't need power because there's not really a lot of power in the future. And I found some more old art of this time period. Let's see if I can send it to you. And here's some art I found of the time period I did. This is like 2013, 2014. And the vampire state, the main character, you've seen this character before. It's part of the story. I don't want to give away too much of it, but you've seen him before. This is Daniel. This is the the secretly straight drag queen character that you see who becomes a vigilante in Soldier Boys. But something happens at some point as the years go on, and he was turned as the world was destroyed in the final war with the humans and the vampires. Obviously, the vampires won, okay, which was easy to do because the vampires had been ruling humanity long before they were explicit about it. So, and he's haunted by the ghost of his friend, but you've seen him, Kurt, right? You see him in the Peacock. Anyway, but this is like, oh no, you're giving away the fates of characters in the future. It happens. So, and just you see like he still is very human. He's actually a very powerful vampire because the one that turned him was very powerful. That's the one thing I always liked about the Anne Rice stuff was if you were turned by a powerful vampire, you got their power. You got their power. Uh, but he's still very human. So he spends years and years, hundreds of years in the wasteland until he finds that kingdoms have reasserted themselves with these vampires. Anyway, and you see him essentially becoming. He was a great warrior back in the day, so he becomes a champion of one of these kingdoms. And look, there's the armor I was talking about, and he has, of course, a lot of very attractive, a lot of the, of course, female vampires, but also male vampires, because you know how that goes. But he's known to be very, very human. He's still way too human for many of the vampires here. And it's the point he meets this other character. Who is this? Yeah, you've seen a picture of her. But anyway, you see the what I was trying to get across here. And here's other art. This is also more of what was going on at the time. Uh, there's a character he turns, who actually is a relation. Actually, she was she loved a human back when they escaped from the north. The man she loves, well, you'll see him here. But when she's turned, she becomes very like Gabrielle from Vampire Lestat, like this nondescript woman who once she's a vampire, she becomes a very efficient killer. She seems to take to this really well, which is disturbing to Daniel here. And then you see more of of course, the rivalry. Who is that? That's Laurel, right? I mentioned her before. And this is so there's some combat. Obviously, as time goes on, you start to see monstrosities. These demons, these creatures are building more and more threatening. Of course, the vampires. They're all cousins, of course, by DNA. But what are these things? Right? You start to see Laura leaves. Right? Tears of blood. She leaves. He runs into the Coyote Kid. Right? This is the Coyote Kid who is in a different part of the country where the humans have the upper hand. And of course, there's Jack. And Jack he hates vampires. So when he finds out that this vampire turned the woman he loved when they escaped and were separated, well, he doesn't take it too well, as you can see. Although I had the different name, Eminem, right? Morris and then Mars, right? Morris and Mars. That was the name of the Trevor Morris and Jack Morris. So I guess I have to change that. But this was years ago. So you get to see a bunch of other things. Eventually, the vampires start to lose the war against these old one things that are dominating. Now, the whole storyline of that comes later, but it's also nice. You see Daniel, he gets avenged by Ingrid. Her name is Ingrid. He gets avenged by her, meaning the vampire that turned him so many years ago in a very cruel fashion. She destroys him. So anyway, this is just art. This means nothing to you. It's all like nerdy stuff, but yeah, man. This got interrupted by a few things as well. Okay, where a change of location really stopped my momentum, and I really resent the hell out of that. But it is what it is. There's only one way forward, right? Avanti. That's it. So I just wanted to show this to you. All right, man.